Their offensive linemen finish blocks. They try to grind people into the ground. First play of the season, they got called for a 15-yard penalty because they took Tennessee's defensive tackle and knocked him into literally the sideline, the wall of the stadium. Yeah. So that made a statement early on what type of team they have. They're a blue-collar, hard-nosed football team. That's that they're talking about all week, trying to get after us. So it's our guys are fully aware of what they do in their run game.
In particular with Marcus Cox, what do you see with his skill set?
Well, the one thing that they do a really good job of is they get good at something, and they're an inside and outside zone team, and they're going to run it, and then you're going to stop it, and they're going to say stop it again, and it's a battle of wills, and he understands. He's so experienced. He knows where all the cuts are in that system because in zone it's not like blocking a lead or a power play, so he knows his tracks. He knows where the cuts are. And when he does a great job of getting in and out of the tackle box in a hurry. Once he sees a hole, bang, you'll see him explode through there. And he's done it against everyone they've played, on the tapes that we watched of him.
Your playing time isn't, it's not all about the trust you have in a guy. It's matchups. We've spoken about that before. But you're playing a lot of nickel and dime right now. I'm curious, where are McLeod and Perry at? That kind of those Sam guys. Where are they at right now with? Their development.
Their development.
Trust.
Well, they're still every week they're getting better and better. Zach actually played better probably in week 2 than week 1 in the snaps that he was in. Probably just being more comfortable, but also you get a chance to see the game a little bit when you're not in as often. But those guys are important, especially going against a strong running attack. Where you've got to have the ability to play with multiple linebackers. The issue isn't just which 11 have on the field, but it's your depth. Because again, like we saw last week, when you put your 3 safeties on the field, you're exposing your lack of depth in the secondary. So, and then again, like Perry, you mentioned, we need him to be able to take more snaps because this is going to be a game where they're going to try and grind down on you, and it's not just a matter of it being physically exhausting; it's a matter of being mentally exhausting. You have to be in the mood to stop the run on every play. And if you just lose your attention span for a little bit, then that's how zone blocking schemes go. A guy all of a sudden doesn't play his gap with the same type of ferocity he had in the first or second quarter, and then all of a sudden the 4-yard gains become 14-yard gains and more than that.
Manny, these guys, I walked in, I think, when you're at the end of this, but what was the biggest hurdle that Darian overcame, playing in that game?
Probably just his confidence. For weeks now, the doctors have been telling him your knee is structurally sound. So it was not an issue of being able to injure yourself further, but you have to just be around loud noises. You got to hear some of those collisions going on around you. You got to get in some collisions and get up from those and say, everything's still okay. And that was, I think, the neat part of him and getting in there. And you saw it in practice. The exact same thing as went on in the last 3 weeks on the practice field, where we would put him in a scout team drill, bang against the people, put him in a pass rush drill. Just the first time he got thrown on the ground, you get back up, you're okay, And then it was a scout team drill, and then it was a drill against the offense, and same thing. And everything just gives me confidence that what the doctors were telling me is true.
Mark mentioned yesterday, when he got hit on the knee on the injury, he talked about it too, getting up and being okay. Is that something that you saw in the game, or did you see it on film? And kind of what were your thoughts when you saw him take that hit and get up?
No, we saw it. Yeah, we saw it on film, yeah. And the players were talking about it because I guess that had become a conversation on the sideline, and there's sort of a karma thing to that. I mean, it's almost like what you would expect to happen in a first game, But he didn't even know it. Like when you actually watch the play, the guy behind him cut him, and he played off of it and went and made a solid tackle. It's one that I don't need, as it was going on, I'm not really sure I was aware of it, and so that was something we put that in front of the team because we do have guys that are coming back from injuries, and to let them know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It seems awfully far away at times, but they trust the rehab and they all end up back.
Obviously, every week you sort of learn new things about your defensive personnel and your overall defense. What sort of things do you think that this particular challenge will help you learn about your defense when this, if you look ahead a little bit, what can you learn from this kind of a game about your defense and how stout they might be?
Well, the word is adversity. That's what you're going to get. The road, playing on the road, everybody yelling at you, the atmosphere that's going to be there, which is going to be electric. The adversity of traveling. We got guys that never traveled in a college game before. I don't know if we got guys that may have been on an airplane before. They may be playing with the flight attendant call button the whole time. You know what I mean? So, and then just the adversity of the game. The adversity of the game came last week through the sudden changes in the first half. Through the turnovers, the roughing the punter, the things where you got to get called back out on the field again. But ultimately, there's going to be different types of adversity. There's going to be adversity where, whether is it falling behind, is it giving up a big play, is it whatever, where we have to have the ability to take a punch. We still haven't shown anything as a defense, offense, football team until we have proven that we can take a punch. So anybody can play when it's 70-3, and that's what we talked about. That we haven't. The Miami Hurricanes have not shown anything different. When things are good, we're good. Okay, but that's not what defines great teams. Great teams are defined by when things are bad, we're still good, and that's the challenge we're trying to pose to our guys. We learn more about them week in and week out.
I want to ask you. Brad said that the offense has shown 20 to 30% of its plays. How much of your defense do you think you've shown to this point?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to define. It's not like we've got a stack of things and we're only this far. A lot of it comes down to really what you feel like is the best way to stop whoever you have to stop against coverage-wise. But ultimately, you're going to do what you're going to do. I mean, they got 5 offensive linemen, we got 4 defensive linemen. There's only so many ways you can arrange them guys. You know what I mean? So it's not, there's not too much to it.
Thanks, Coach.
You all got it. Okay, thank you.